All right, welcome back. The show that everybody's talking about all over the country. We're heard all over the country 4 days a week now. We're on, Tuesday, Thursday, the weekends, and our flagship station here in Southern California. Thank you for being our flagship station, KHTS 1220 AM. So Aaron Scott Young and I have a wonderful guest, and as I told you in the last segment, we have some of the best guests, truly the best experts in America in business and entrepreneurship. Coming to our show every week is like going to a master's class, and if I say it quietly to you, we can help change your life. And today, my wonderful guest, Andy Smith, and his beautiful wife wrote a book that now I've read cover to cover twice called The Dragonfly Effect. And it's a book that, if you listen to this segment, and you're somebody that owns a business, or somebody that's on the internet, or somebody that owns a business is on the internet, or somebody that's involved in social media like the coach and Aaron Scott Young, this is a book that you want to read over and over again. Andy, welcome to Southern California. Andy Smith, the author, and his gorgeous wife, Jennifer. It's called Dragonfly Effect. Why the name Dragonfly Effect?
Well, first of all, it's great to be here, Coach, and great to be here with you too, Aaron. And well, the dragonfly is a unique creature. It's the only creature that we know that can, through the beating of its full wings, manage to both hover, fly forward, backwards, and with amazing speed. And so we thought it was actually a really good metaphor for entrepreneurs and individuals who really just focus on getting something done and doing it in a way that's quick and powerful.
The book was so wonderfully done. It impacted me. I called Aaron immediately the other day, and I said, "Man, we got to get Andy back on." The four things, there's four main points in the book, but I want to concentrate on two of them. Focus. People understand focus. Well, they really don't, but I want to talk about grabbing the attention of the customer, engaging the customer, and then taking action. So in today, where we're all scatterbrained, some of the news isn't as pleasant as we want it to be, we're all so distracted. How in the heck do we grab somebody's attention?
It is the hardest thing. I mean, I grew up in a family. My parents both were in advertising in the basically the Mad Men days, where they were just inventing the industry of finding a way to grab it, and it's like running on a treadmill. You've always got to find a new way to do it. I think the trick, there's some tricks, and then there's some things that just actually sort of work. One simple thing is to think about the person you're trying to reach with your message, and think about what influences them, what would matter to them most, and make sure you speak to them directly. It's all too easy when we're trying to recruit people to come to work for our business, or come to buy things from our business, or to join our cause, to try to boil the ocean and be all things to all people. But if we think about it ourselves, those are the things that we ignore ourselves. So we respond to things that speak to us directly. And the second one is that this is going to seem like the duh of it all, but it's to be different. It's to be unique. If we sound like every other company or every other thing you've heard, then you just get lost among the clutter. There's no reason to be best in class. You want to be the only one in class. These things draw off of core marketing ideas, which is that when you position your product, what you're trying to do is you're trying to create a space for yourself in the mind of the person who's going to buy you. You don't want to be there next to a bunch of big guys. You want to be there on your own.
Talking to Andy Smith, let me just give a cheap plug, Aaron Scott Young, for our show. You're listening to Andy Smith, Aaron Scott Young, and the coach on a show that's heard nationally all over the country called Start-A-Biz, and the website is Start-A-Biz Radio Network. All our shows are podcasts. You'll be able to hear. If you're going to pull into the garage or you can't listen to us, you'll be able to hear our podcast. So before we went to break, when we were promoting you, Andy Smith, Aaron Scott Young said something that was akin to what you just said. He said that you've got to surprise and delight your customer. Do you want to tag on to that, or Aaron, do you want to jump in? I mean, how do you surprise and delight?
Yeah, what he just said I loved when he's saying you don't want to be best in class, you want to be the only one in class. And, of course, there's another great book out there called The Blue Ocean Strategy, which talks about that. And if you haven't read that book, I mean, it's worth a read as well. But, Andy, so when I'm working with clients, and we have lots of clients, and I'm working with one-on-one people, when we talk about how do we be that unique, how do we become that unique sort of blue ocean
purple cow.
Purple cow. There you go. Have you come up with any sort of ways to help the folks that you teach, whether you're there at or you teach at Stanford? Well, it looks like you teach all over the place, speak all over the place. You and your wife both, Jennifer Ockers. Have you found any 1, 2, 3 steps of how to start to differentiate yourself and not be best in class, but be only in class?
Well, I think there's a couple of different things. This could be a long answer. But I guess the first question, I would separate the delight from the grabbing attention. It's one of the reasons we broke it into four separate wings, because it's very easy to get caught up in the complexity of making a compelling message. And so we really segment. The grabbing attention is the thing that sort of stops you and makes you pay attention, and that's what we call it then. But the job there is done once you've done that. Once you've gotten someone's attention. So there's a broader sort of palette of things you can play with there to do that. Because you can shock, you can disgust, you can use humor. It is a matter of simply just standing out from the crowd. We see these things everywhere. You drive down an industrialized street, and there's that ridiculous blowy man made out of some sort of fabric with a fan at the bottom and
flapping in the wind.
Dealership. Yep. Exactly. I mean, there's no reason to look at a car dealership when you're not in the market for a car, but your eye is caught there, and it really goes back to this really, really deeply embedded sort of firmware in our heads that basically say something's moving in my peripheral vision. It might be about to eat me, and we can't control that, but we pay attention. And so that's sort of the metaphor for grab attention. Is that it really is about getting you to focus, getting that ad, getting that radio spot, getting whatever to stand out and get some cognitive space in the mind. The delight portion really comes more in the third wing, in engage, when you actually get an opportunity to tell a story.
I agree with that. Keep going, Coach. There
a cheap plug for our show. It's called Start-A-Biz Radio Network, heard all over America, right here on our flagship station here in Southern California on KHTS 1220 AM. My wonderful guest and author of the book, The Dragonfly. Look, holidays are coming up. If you're looking for a Christmas gift for somebody that is starting a business, owns a business, somebody that cares about growing their business, this is a book that I recommend. I've read literally, I'm not exaggerating, probably over 1,000 business books. I read this one again for the second time, cover to cover, and it's so well done, Andy. It's easy to understand your principles. So let's talk about now. We talked a little bit about grabbing the attention. I like what both you and Aaron Young said. But how about this? How about engaging? How in the heck do we engage when everybody has no time for nothing? How do we engage somebody?
Well, I think you have to go back to sort of the same. One of the most fun aspects of writing this was thinking about what are the elements of sort of human nature and consumer behavior that drive our actions, both our motivations, our actions, and the things that make us feel most satisfied with our lives and like we're contributing. And there's some fundamental things. First is this sort of this primitive fight or flight reflex we just described with respect to grabbing attention. But the second one is really going back to without going back too far, before there was written history, the only thing we knew about from previous generations were passed down through people who would tell stories around some sort of primordial fire. And so it got to be really important for us to understand stories and be able to apply them. It still works today. And so when you talk about getting someone to feel delight or to feel engaged with you, it's really about looking into both the organization you are, the people that you are, and sharing some sort of story that might connect with someone else. A generic story doesn't work. It's one that's people, there are probably like 4 or 5, core stories that we've seen told over and over again. Like the hero's journey is like pretty much every action film. You've got and from a company perspective, you've got the signature story. What is the story of our founding? What is the story of our birth? And these things connect with people. Finding, if you're an individual entrepreneur, there's some reason you get up each morning and go and do the harder job that is working for yourself rather than the easier job, which is probably taking a paycheck somewhere. People who are entrepreneurs are singularly driven and have reasons for being that. That story, unbundling that story, is often a great place to start in terms of motivating customers and employees to join you.
All right, slow down. I got to challenge you on something. You're listening to a show called
Sure.
Startup Biz Radio Network. I'm going to slow down too. Startup Biz Radio Network. My partner, Aaron Scott Young, and our wonderful guest, Andy Smith, the author of Dragonfly Effect. So I got to challenge you, and Aaron, jump in after I challenged this wonderful author. Very few businesses have the capital to promote themselves. Very few businesses have the advertising budget to tell their story. So how do you tell your story when you have a few $100s a month to tell that story? How do you do it?
Well, I look at it, everything. It's not just advertising, right? Everything that you do facing your customer is your touch point. Is that's sort of a marketing babble for a way of influencing people outside the organization. But it's from the way that people greet guests as they come to your hotel or your business. From what your business cards say. It's from how you answer the phone. Every one of these opportunities gives you an opportunity to tell your story in one way or another. And it doesn't just have to be advertising. And of course, then there's the whole world of social technology. There's the whole opportunity to connect with a company or a brand in a social setting that isn't quite so commerce oriented. And then there's also what is the company or the entrepreneur does within the community to connect with people. These things don't necessarily take money. And in fact, the whole point of our book was that it doesn't take money if you've got something that connects with other people and motivates them to spend time with you, engage with you, to take your suggestions and your actions that you'd recommend they do.
So the idea then is, it goes back to this. It goes back to getting your story straight. Something we talked about in the first segment, which, from my experience, and Andy, tell me I'm wrong if you think I'm wrong, but most companies fail because of either a lack of knowledge or a lack of ability to leverage. So maybe they don't have enough financial resources. They don't have the social outreach. They don't have some way of leveraging who they are. But before you have something to leverage, you've got to have your story straight. And I completely agree with what you just said about it doesn't take a lot of money if you're very crystal clear about your story. If you understand your brand proposition, if you understand, this is how we look, this is how we greet people, this is how we deliver our service. If you can get that part right and you can make it special enough, then, when I say special, it's as simple as the electrical repairman coming and putting the booties on before they walk into your house, or putting down, covering up the car, the seat of your car before they, get in there and vacuum it out of the oil change place. Little things differentiate a company that doesn't stand a great chance of surviving from one that can really set a tone. So I'm with you on that. I just think that when we say people that only have a few $100 a month to spend, the issue is most people are spending the few $100 throwing things at the wall and seeing what will stick, rather than getting very intentional about what they're trying to present to the world and doing it, doing what they can with what they have right from where they are. That's where people drop the ball.
Yeah, and I think that there's also the idea that that small business people can't know what works or can't become. There's no better customer expert than the individual who sees a customer every day. They just need to sort of recognize that and figure out how to articulate that and put that into words, rather than have it used to be I'm dating myself here, but it used to be the small business person's single biggest advertising, sometimes sole advertising investment in a year was the Yellow Pages ad.
Yellow Pages. I knew you were going there. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and
you go. Yeah, the Yellow Pages.
And then those stopped working. But you know what? People kept paying because they didn't know what else to do.
All right. You two. We're talking to Andy Smith, the wonderful author of a book called Dragonfly Effect, on the show we call Start a Biz Radio Network, heard all over the country 4 days a week, and our flagship station here in Southern California, 1220 AM KHTS. So let me ask you a question. So our show is brought to you by Laughlin USA. Incidentally, Andy, if you need any documents for your business, if you're going to start a business, if you're going to get a new partner, you're not sure about, you don't want to go out and spend $3,000, go to their website, Laughlin USA. They're a wonderful 44-year-old company, over 100,000 clients. Andy Smith, put them in your contact thing. But let me get back to when we opened up the show, I was talking about this local company in Southern California. I went in their store today. It's called Nothing But Cakes. So I was able to test one of their little bun cakes. So I thought to myself, holy moly, Coach is going to come back next week. I'm going to buy some bun cakes for some friends. So here they have a product that I can taste, I can test. Most clients, other than an ice cream store or this Nothing But Bun Cake store, how would a customer be able to test your product?
So, other than someone who can give you a cake to taste?
Yeah, well, I mean, you talk about social media. So let me push you towards social media. Facebook. What works in social media? Come on, be honest with our listeners. We have thousands of people in Southern California. They want to hear what you have to say, Mr. Andy Smith at Dragonfly. Tell us.
Well, I can tell you that it's actually very hard to sell something on Facebook, because if you look at the difference between someone who's Googling something and someone who's on Facebook, is they're there for different reasons. And you could go into, there's a whole lot of stuff around this, but basically it's the issue of intent. What do you intend to do? When you're searching for a hammer and you see an ad for a hardware store come up, you welcome that. But when you're just on Facebook or something like that, and someone presents you an ad for a hammer because you're shopping for a hammer somewhere else, sometimes you might find it intrusive. So the opportunity in Facebook for brands is to build connection and shared values and quality, and so that you're in that spot. So if you're nothing but cakes, and you are trying to, if you don't have the opportunity to give Coach a sample cake in person, what you want to do is do something more like what Omaha Steaks does. They're not necessarily big on social media, but if you think about that, all I have to do is I think about the amazing pictures they send you of these steaks that you can cook and make yourself. And so, it's that the other part of this, is you match your message to your medium, and where you don't have the ability to give something to them in person, you go for the next highest. In this case, something that's visual and visceral, something that reminds them of an experience that makes them want it that much more. Video, when possible. YouTube is great for this kind of thing, for connecting with that experience, especially when you're in the space where you could do some personal storytelling. Individual entrepreneurs telling their story of why this is their passion, to their customers on YouTube or any other video channel is a great way to do that too. All
right, I got to take a break. We're going to come back and have one for the road with you. Listening to, he's a wonderful author. His name is Andy Smith. The book is called The Dragonfly Effect. So Aaron Scott Young, and we'll maybe do it next week, but we're going to tease our audience with you, Andy Smith, and we're going to talk about amplifying your message. So come on back. The show is called Start a Biz Radio Network. We're going to take this little subject, expand it next week, but I want to know what Andy Smith has to say. And let me ask you this, Andy, do you think the reason our show is successful all over the country is because we have great guests like you on? Is that a cheap way of promoting our show? We'll come right back on Start a Biz Radio Network. Welcome back. If you're listening to our show, you own a business and you need documents, there's only one company. I've used them for years, Laughlin USA, LaughlinUSA.com. All right, so we only have a couple of minutes. He's going to be a regular. He'll be back. His name is Andy Smith. The book is called Dragonfly. And also, not today, but we're going to have him back probably in January and talk about investing, money. Yeah, money. That's one of his expertise, money, early stage investments, whatever that means. It's fancy talk, Aaron Scott Young, for what?
Well, what it means, my brother, is that, one of the biggest reasons companies fail, if you want to start a business and you're trying to do it out of your back pocket, it's a challenge. That doesn't mean everybody needs to go out and raise equity capital, but you're foolish to not at least know how it works and what's available. So many people think that it's only for the big guys, and that's just not true. But you'll never take advantage of the opportunities if you don't know they exist. So that's why we need guys like Andy to come on and teach us about it, and I'm looking forward to that conversation.
Yeah, incidentally, Andy, just so you want to know, we're going to have Steve Forbes on, we have Tom Hopkins coming on, Harvey McKay, and we're trying to get Donald Trump. That's right, Donald Trump is thinking about coming. Well, he wrote a book, The Art of the Deal, is one of the first real business books, and I have that book, and I've read that book a couple of times, so don't laugh, you little...
Oh, no, he's a deal maker, that's for sure.
All right, so we have the best guests in America that come on our show. We call Start a Biz Radio Network the best in the country. They don't come on unless they have a proven track record. We have 2 minutes left, Andy Smith, of Dragonfly Effect, the author. 2 minutes. If you're starting a business or you own a small business here in Southern California, give me one way to amplify your business. Just one way to amplify your business.
Okay, well, so I'd say, first of all, think about the reason that you're doing your business, the reason you get up every day, and sort of distill that down into something you can articulate. So if it's because I believe I am the best in the world at making bundt cakes, or because it's my passion to provide great automotive service, or that, my legal services, protect the little guy from the big guy, turn that, wake up in the morning, think about what gets you out of bed, write that down, and start turning that into the thing that you embody, the thing that's your brand, and think about how every time any one of your customers or your employees has interaction, that it reinforces that idea. And then work with that. Figure out what motivates people to do things. And then the second part, since it's the second minute, is think about ways to give your best customers and your best employees a way to spread your word. Sometimes that's just that's some sort of thing. We've given away tchotchkes for years, but usually they just get thrown away. Think about things that are repeatable elements that say, hey, I want to tell my friend about you. Make it easy for people to do things. The fourth wing of the Dragonfly that we didn't get a chance to talk about is this idea of
well, we got to cut you off. We're gonna have you back soon. His name is Andy Smith. The book is Dragonfly. Aaron Scott Young, thank you, brother. Thank you for listening.
Good to be here with the coach, Andy. Thanks for being here.
We're so honored. We're so honored that you would listen. We'll see you in a couple of days on the show we call Start a Biz Radio Network.